Hey, welcome to Let the Light In. Today on the camera, we are reviewing the Yongnuo 11mm f1.8 autofocus lens. Now, this lens, keep in mind, is coming in at a price point of $298. This is an APS-C lens, so although it does say 11mm, the full frame equivalent is essentially 16.5 millimeters in focal length. It has an aperture range of f1.8 all the way closing down to f16. It boasts an ultra quiet digital stepping motor. It's got a custom function button. It has a clickable or declickable aperture ring. It's got a little switch for that. And it does have a USB-C port for future firmware updates. Now, talking about the aperture ring, the focus ring is nice, easy, smooth to rotate to it. And the aperture ring can either be clicked or declicked depending on your personal preference. So for us video content creators, having a smooth clickless aperture rings means aperture racking is an option on this lens. Now, there is no hard stop on the lens on the aperture ring. Instead, it's kind of just a soft clunk that you will feel as you rotate it from f16 to automatic. So it's not a hard stop, but it's not completely smooth either. There is a little soft clunk that carries you through that transition. Now, when it comes to autofocus, I never actually had any problems with the autofocus on the Yongnuo 11mm. The performance was very good, strong, and reliable. Now, taking a look at face tracking, we can see even when I go to the sides of the frame and even when I go into a darker area, a darker side of the room, the face tracking holds no matter what, and popping in and out of the frame doesn't throw it off either. It quickly recatches focus and locks back on to the subject. So autofocus, quick, reliable, and smooth. Now you can see from our focus pulls that, once again, focus acquisition, smooth, quick, reliable, and you will notice a little bit of focus breathing, but honestly, it's hardly anything to catch your eye. It's barely noticeable at all. Moving on to chromatic aberrations. In our test, our subject is found in the middle of the frame, and so the chromatic aberration test that we performed makes this lens look as if it is really clean, really good. But I found that in actual real world use, that wasn't exactly the case. You will notice it's not strong by any means, but you will notice very consistently, I found actually in a lot of the shots that I did take, there was a little bit of chromatic aberrations always present kind of in the corners of the image. Now, the middle of the image, as we saw in our test, it's always coming up clean. But in the corners of the image, it's very faint, very, very faint. I will give it that. But even, closing down to f8, closing down to f11, it didn't get rid of chromatic aberrations. It just always seemed to be somewhat present in a lot of the shots. Not in all of them, but certainly in a lot. So the good news here is that yes, while chromatic aberrations are present, they are more limited to the corners. And you can actually see here, not talking about chromatic aberrations, but talking about the corners of the image, you can see some warping going on the edge of it. So while this is certainly an ultra wide lens, which could probably tempt you to even use it in kind of real estate type uses, just be aware of the warping that's going on the side of the image and in the corners. Now, this being an 11mm lens, of course, is an ultra wide lens. But it certainly does excel in what it is trying to do, which is capture a wide area with good precision, clarity, and focus. And so it does perform all of that. But if a $298 11mm lens doesn't entice you enough, seeing that its autofocus is very strong and chromatic aberrations are a little bit present, but quite limited, they do throw in a little bit of a bonus feature, which is this here remote control. Now, this remote control can connect to your camera body via Bluetooth, and it is able to perform a variety of functions for you. So for us video users, it can pull focus for you. So it can be a focus puller. You can also set focus A and B points and have it pull focus in that way for you. So focus A point, focus B point, you can set that and have it switch back and forth. But you can also, from this remote control, start and stop recording. So thinking of that, right? If you are a solo content creator, you're going out, you are shooting in nature, and you don't have anybody else with you, you can bring along this remote, trigger the camera yourself, even focus rack while you are, doing whatever you need to do. It's quite a unique little tool, and it's more than just a gimmick. It's actually something functional, additional to your purchase of the 11mm lens. So in conclusion, very strong autofocus. Chromatic aberrations are just present in the corners, but not ultimately going to deter or detract too greatly from your image, and you do get a quite neat little remote control added in to the bundles. If that is enough to entice you to buy the lens, the links are down below, found in the description. That is all I have for you today. Take care, have a wonderful day, and remember to let the light in.